So not even the devil himself could persuade Daniel into a life of dissipation. All you who have made a study of the businessman will agree that of all human beings, he is the hardest to swerve from conservative methods. The devil groaned and began to wonder why he had ever tied up to a man like Daniel, a businessman. Pretty soon Daniel developed an ambition. He wanted reputation, and he told the devil so. The devil's eyes sparkled. "Ah, at last," murmured the devil with a sigh of relief. "At last." "Yes," said Daniel. "I want to be known far and wide. You must build a church for me." "What?" shrieked the devil, and the devil's tail stiffened up like a sore thumb. "Yes," said Daniel calmly. "You must build a church for me, and it must be the largest and the handsomest church in the city. The sittings shall be free, and you shall provide the funds for its support forever." The devil frothed at his mouth, and blue fire issued from his ears and nostrils. He was the maddest devil ever seen on earth. "Ah, I won't do it," roared the devil. "Do you suppose I'm going to spend my time building churches and stultifying myself just for the sake of gratifying your idle whims? I won't do it, never." "Then the bond I gave is null and void," said Daniel. "Take your old bond," said the devil petulantly. "But the bond you gave is operative," continued Daniel. "So release the 1,001 souls you owe me when you refuse to obey me." "Oh, Daniel," whimpered the devil, "how can you treat me so? Haven't I always been good to you? Haven't I given you riches and prosperity? Does not sentiment of friendship—" "Hush," said Daniel, interrupting him. "I have already told you 1,000 times that our relations were simply those of one businessman with another. It now behoves you to fulfill your part in our compact. Eventually I shall fulfill mine. Come now, to business. Will you or will you not keep your word and save your bond?" The devil was sorely put to his trumps. But when it came to releasing 1,001 souls from hell, that staggered him. He had to build the church, and a noble one it was too. Then he endowed the church, and finally he built a parsonage. Altogether it was a stupendous work, and Daniel got all the credit for it. The preacher whom Daniel installed in this magnificent temple was severely orthodox, and one of the first things he did was to preach a series of sermons upon the personality of the devil, wherein he inveighed most bitterly against that person and his work. By and by, Daniel made the devil endow and build a number of hospitals, charity schools, free baths, libraries, and other institutions of similar character. Then he made him secure the election of honest men to office and of upright judges to the bench. It almost broke the devil's heart to do it, but the devil was prepared to do almost anything else than forfeit his bond and give up those 1,001 souls. By this time Daniel came to be known far and wide for his philanthropy and his piety. This gratified him, of course, but most of all he gloried in the circumstance that he was a businessman. "Have you anything for me to do today?" asked the devil one morning. He had grown to be a very meek and courteous devil. Steady employment in righteous causes had chastened him to a degree, and purged away somewhat of the violence of his nature. On this particular morning he looked haggard and ill. Yes, and he looked, too, as blue as a whetstone. I am not feeling robust," explained the devil. "To tell the truth, I am somewhat ill." "I am sorry to hear it," said Daniel. "But as I am not conducting a sanitarium, I can do nothing further than express my regret that you are ailing. Of course, our business relations do not contemplate any interchange of sympathies. Still, I'll go easy with you today. You may go to the house and look after the children. See that they don't smoke cigarettes, or quarrel, or tease the cat, or do anything out of the way." Now that was fine business for the devil to be in, but how could the devil help himself? He was wholly at Daniel's mercy. He went groaning about the humiliating task. The crash came at last. It was when the devil informed Daniel one day that he wasn't going to work for him anymore. "You have ruined my business," said the devil wearily. "A committee of imps waited upon me last night and told me that unless I severed my connection with you, a permanent suspension of my interests down yonder would be necessitated. While I have been running around doing your insane errands, my personal business has gone to the dogs. I wouldn't be at all surprised if I were to have to get a new plant altogether. Meanwhile, my reputation has suffered. I am no longer respected, and the number of my recruits is daily becoming smaller. Oh, I give up. I can make no further sacrifice." "Then you are prepared to forfeit your bond?" asked Daniel. "Not by any means," replied the devil. "I propose to throw the matter into the courts." "That will hardly be to your interest," said Daniel, "since, as you well know, we have recently elected honest men to the bench, and, as I recollect, most of our judges are members in good standing of the church we built some years ago." The devil howled with rage. Then, presently, he began to whimper. "For the last time," expostulated Daniel, "let me remind you that sentiment does not enter into this affair at all. We are simply two business parties cooperating in a business scheme. Our respective duties are exactly defined in the bonds we hold. You keep your contract, and I'll keep mine. Let me see. I still have a margin of 13 years. The devil groaned and writhed. "They call me a dude," whimpered the devil. "Who do?" asked Daniel. "Beelzebub and the rest," said the devil. "I have been trotting around doing pious errands so long that I've lost all my sulphur and brimstone flavour, and now I smell like spikenard and myrrh." "Puh," said Daniel. "Well, I do," insisted the devil. "You've humiliated me so that I ain't got any more ambition. Yes, Daniel, you've worked me shamefully hard." "Well," said Daniel, "I have a very distinct suspicion that when 13 years hence I fall into your hands, I shall not enjoy what might be called a sedentary life." The devil plucked up at this suggestion. "Indeed you shall not," he muttered. "I'll make it hot for you." "But come, we waste time," said Daniel. "I am a man of business, and I cannot fritter away the precious moments parleying with you. I have important work for you. Tomorrow is Sunday. You are to see that all the saloons are kept closed." "Ah, I shan't! I won't!" yelled the devil. "But you must," said Daniel firmly. "Do you really expect me to do that?" roared the devil. "Do you fancy that I am so arrant a fool as to shut off the very feeders whereby my hungry hell is supplied? That will be suicidal." "I don't know anything about that," said Daniel. "I am a businessman, and by this business arrangement of ours it is explicitly stipulated—" "I don't care what the stipulations are," shrieked the devil. "I'm through with you, and may I be consumed by my own fires if ever again I have anything to do with a businessman." The upshot of it all was that the devil forfeited his bond, and by this act Daniel was released from every obligation unto the devil, and 1,001 souls were ransomed from the torture of the infernal fires. The end. You have been listening to Daniel and the Devil by Eugene Field, narrated by Jez Jameson.